Not so much as a more preparation. In some cases, we had a little hiccups just in bandwidth where participants, the bandwidth was not as good. But uh, truth be known, we were very pleased with how the first event turned out. I don't know if you saw anything. It was kind of a rush decision, given the fact that we were planning to go live, and now we had 30 days to change our mind. So it worked out very well, all things considered. It got a little bit tense, but we used a service to help with the management of participants in a green room and audio and you know muting and recording. The logistics seem to work pretty well, so we're just trying to just keep the same technique and even do it better, hopefully. We were involved in supporting OCM from a year before it started. We have a good network of participants. We gave them feedback suggestions for the model. So as soon as it launched, we says, okay, let's get to it. And we created a network of support for the team. We had about 80% of all the participants in our closed network. We did calls every month to learn and educate and spotlight changes, whatever. But since they made that decision in December, either you've gotten a performance-based payment, or you have to take two-sided risk, or you're out. Since that time, our communications have been minimal, just because they've made that decision. From just a standpoint of cancer care, we have seen a real big drop in referrals. We saw it pick up again in June or July, but now we're seeing it slide a little bit, but that's everywhere. That's just not for the participants. That's all referrals. And we're trying to figure out a way what we can do to help that as best we can, because it's not like you can create business if you're in cancer care. So a lot of it's just trying to get practices to hold on and do what they can and manage your staff accordingly, get creative and follow up with their patients. We have been very active in, I guess the changes to telehealth and how those telehealth changes can be implemented. I'd probably say we were one of the first out of the gates. Within 30 days of the changes, we had like webinars with close to 1,000 people on it. Telehealth was one of those projects that could take anywhere from 9 months to a year. People were implementing it in 24 hours. So we were sharing with people how people that are doing well, how they were doing it, because that staying in touch with patients was very key to care. And so it's tough for patients, tough for providers, tough for care teams. So they had to work through a lot of logistics. But from an OCM standpoint, okay, we're like, okay, let's kind of watch things and support where we can. We put out a paper where we have identified 35 different payment models out there in cancer care. 35. Now, if you're a cancer care team in one state that has 7 models, you have to know what model is this patient in that's coming in the door. We need to comply with their guidelines. So if you think about it, there's that many models, every one of them are different. Every model's got at least 3 major components. You've got the care processes, the care delivery, the care. Then you've got the payment methodology. How are you going to do something different that's going to be based on quality and value? And then you got the measures, which are the sort of the middleman says, okay, you say this is how you're going to deliver care. How do you know the care got delivered that way, and therefore measure it, and then use those measures in the pay process? Typical traditional healthcare is all about utilization. You go see the doctor, whether he tells you the right thing or not, he's going to get paid the same way. It's about consumption or utilization, sadly, and that's one of the things we're trying to fix. We need to promote accountability so that if the right thing is done, reward them. If the right thing wasn't done, then don't reward them. Let's drive towards quality improvement. So within OCM 2.0, we're trying to focus on the care delivery pieces to create standards so that all interested parties that have some sort of investment in the care reimbursement process has something they can look at that says, oh, that's excellent care. That care is better than anybody else. There's measures to prove it. They've got surveyors that make sure that happens. Therefore, for a model, let's try to point to that, everybody. So not only for the care teams to implement it, but then the providers, the payers to recognize it, employers to recognize it, so they can say, hey, this person has this classification. I can see it. The measure should show up that way. Voila, let's use them in the model. After that, then there's different aspects of different form models. For example, you got something called attribution. That is how a beneficiary is assigned to the model. We've created OCM 2.0 so that there are tiers in complexity. If you're new to this game, what's the simplest thing I can do today? Do this. If you're a little more advanced, then do this. If you're far advanced, you've already done these two things, you're ready to do something different, then let's do this form of attribution. Let's do this form of shared savings. So OCM 2.0, it takes these components, there's about 7 or 8. And for each component, we're saying, okay, here's an entry level position, here's intermediate, here's advanced. You pick and choose, and you don't have to say everything's intermediate or everything's advanced. Well, I don't feel comfortable over here. I'm going to start out here, but here I've made some good progress. I'm going to use this instead. So OCM 2.0 is really a map or a blueprint or foundation to be in any payment reform model, regardless of payment. We're not dictating or prescribing any particular way to pay for it. We're just saying you need to demonstrate that you're high quality, high value in cancer care. Here's the path to do it. Then begin working with your local employers or your local payers on the payment piece.